Lycans and gentlemen, children of the night, nocturnals, night terrors, and all things that go bump in the night. Welcome to your monthly treatment of shock therapy. The doctor will see you now. Show me your woes, my fellow daywalkers and fireflies, and I'll cure all that ails you. Consider me your night watchman for this evening's festivities here at the Mind's Eye Theater. I invite you to violate curfew along with me for this graveyard shift. I am your horror host, Inkarnate, for this sold-out show. Well, fans, I typically do these Mind's Eye Theaters just because I very much like reliving horror's past. I very much revel in looking at films that have gone by the wayside, were maligned unfairly upon release. But today is more about a day of remembrance for obvious reasons. This one is going to be a bit of a somber note, but I felt compelled to still give this a watch. I was happy to hear that this documentary was coming out today, right before WrestleMania, the week of WrestleMania. I'm happy that it came out at all. It's a sad note, to be honest, but in loving memory of someone who I was a huge fan of. I've been watching pro wrestling for a very long time. I've had my eye on being a horror host since even well before my channel started nearly 4 years ago. And I'd be lying if Bray Wyatt was not an inspiration to me as a horror fan. When I heard that this documentary was coming out, I absolutely knew I needed to jump on it. I was happy to dedicate a watch party for that. And that's why, despite the somber note, let's try to watch this in loving memory of Bray Wyatt. Let's try to watch this documentary as some method of closure. I imagine it'll be a 2-hour watch where we lament, but we still rejoice in reliving his humble beginnings, what it was behind this mad scientist's mind, what was going on with him, with his near infinite creativity. I'd be lying if I didn't think that this would be a hard watch, because again, I mean, seeing someone who one thing that blew my mind was that Bray Wyatt was actually younger than me at the time of his passing. And man, he had just come back. He had just made a comeback. And it's always difficult losing anybody. It's always hard when someone who you look up to and someone you have, fond memories of and who you're just a fan of passes away. But man, someone so young, someone so influential, and I know it's you hear like the buzz phrases, hey, he left a mark on the industry, but man, he really did, man. He really had something. There's a reason why so many people felt this loss, and again, I imagine this will be something of a tearjerker. This will be something that may be difficult for people to watch. Hell, I'd be lying if I didn't think that it'd be hard for me. But let's keep in mind that it is a genuinely heartfelt gesture by the WWE to have put this together. One thing you can't deny is that they are always top notch with their documentaries, and I have no doubt that this will be one for the ages, and one that his fans can have some measure of closure on with his passing. So usually when I do these watch parties, I like to do a film rating. For those who have not seen our feature presentation, our creature presentation, and even for those who have, what their memories of said viewing experience is. So, I have not seen this. This just came out today. I wanted to make sure that I was watching it fresh with everyone else. So, let's take a look at what our options are. Your choices include Bottom of the Burial, Shallow Grave, and my personal favorite, of course, High Stakes. And come on, I mean, how could we honestly give this documentary anything but high stakes? So, let me just work my magic so that all of you fine people can also vote in what I affectionately refer to as our totem pole. So, while we are going through this watch party, this documentary, I absolutely invite everyone and anyone to go into the comments section and go over what it is that, what are your fond memories of Bray Wyatt? What angles? What did you think of when he first debuted? I remember a coworker of mine saying, like, what exactly is he? Like, how would you classify him? And by that, like, Bray Wyatt's just one of those people. I mean, you're hooked from the jump. He was just so captivating. And like I looked at her, and it's funny because she and I were both horror fans. So I knew what he was when the moment that I had seen Bray Wyatt, and I told her, well, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty not on the nose, but it's plain to see that, you know, he's a doomsday prophet. You know, he's an end of the world type of cult leader. And hey, that's why we are all fireflies now. That's why he was able to just really tap into something. You know what I mean? And that, man, it's hard thinking about the fact that he was so young, that it was so unexpected. I mean, he had taken a hiatus just before WrestleMania of last year, and there had always been, like, you know, rumblings about his mental state. He suffered from, like, depression, and from the way he was booked, why wouldn't that be the case? But yeah, it was it's still crazy thinking back on. It's still wild. And you know, just coming off of the summer, and just, you know, it's always kind of a different feel going back. I haven't been in high school for a very long time, but I don't know. There's something kind of enamoring about the autumn season. And yeah, just at the end of summer, starting September, going into the autumn, hearing that news was just, it was wild to me. It took all of us by shock, all of his fans. And it was, it's tough thinking back on it. It's tough thinking back on it now, to be honest. So I have added the totem pole to the watch party. So feel free to it's at the top of the chat. Feel free, if you're watching on YouTube, to write into the totem pole what your film rating for this documentary is. So with that being taken care of, let's see. I invite all of you to stream the film, the documentary, along with me. Be sure to queue it up on Peacock. So let's be thankful that this is actually available to us. And let me take care of a couple of housekeeping items. I will be providing timestamps throughout the watch party to make sure that your viewing experience is synced up with mine, as well as for the convenience of anyone who's casually late to the party. So this watch party is brought to you in partnership with Hotness TV. Most likely tomorrow, if not sometime during this week, I will post my link to the Hotness TV magazine. I post an editorial with them monthly. So I will get into what subject matter that my editorial this month was on. I'll get into that after the stream. And I have an entire week of live streams, so I will announce when it's available. But other than that, I will be posting on all my socials the link as well as availability of the magazine. This watch party, this Mind's Eye Theater, is brought to you. I have the sponsorships of Samsung devices and Jabra headsets. The link for those are in the description. This Mind's Eye Theater is brought to you with our affiliate partner, which happens to be the upcoming horror documentary, Mental Health and Horror. So, when that comes out, I want to do a watch party of that, as well as a proper review. If you're of a mood, you are absolutely welcome to support The Reckoning. The link is up top. I'll consider it your pound of flesh. And be sure to check out our merchandise. I will be putting a little graphic together what our new merch is. And we are coming to you live, streaming on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, as well as Rumble. So, in the enduring battle between Inkarnate and the almighty algorithm, my fans are my strongest weapon. So, I kindly ask all of you kind people to get the likes up. So, with all that being taken care of, I think it's time for us to start the show. So, with that being said, Igor, throw the switch. And we are starting right now. And most likely I'm going to have a long intro because it's Peacock. Yep. Full like 3 minutes long. Can't help it. I mean, my favorite memories, since I have time to kill, my favorite memories when it comes to Bray Wyatt, I mean, how can you not be enamored with The Fiend? Everything about that character was just, it was so awesome, man. I wasn't fond of the title when they put his face on the title. I thought that could have been a little clever. Just, putting the face on the title, I felt was kind of meh. But, I mean, everything about him, like the fact that it was never really described what exactly is that he was, you know what I mean? But we kind of all, because of the striped pants and the pale face with the crazy eyes, we all just kind of like went with evil clown, which I'll be getting to that at towards the end of the stream. I mean, it was just, it was such a captivating character. And look, I liked Bray Wyatt. The Doomsday, the Eater of Worlds. I liked Bray Wyatt for what he was, the character that he was, the Doomsday cult leader. I thought that was awesome. But man, when he came back as the Fiend and the gimmick that was attached to it, I felt like that was like his creativity on steroids. And far too often people are given such undue credit for reinventing themselves, but Bray Wyatt actually did it, and not something generic or something that could be more tied to Bray Wyatt's just a cosmetic change. No, he completely revamped from head to toe. That's what it really looks like when somebody reinvents themselves. So, I mean, it was, he just got it, you know what I mean? He knew what it took to stand out as a professional wrestler. And man, I wish more guys in the industry were like him. But yeah, absolutely the Bray Wyatt, the Fiend was, I mean, hey, we've had The Undertaker, we've had Kane. I've always been a fan of nightmare characters, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like Raven, when he first came to WWE, like a Barrio kind of poet, he could have tapped into that a little bit more. I always very much liked the Nightmare characters, you know? Even some of the ones that didn't pan out too well, like, oh my god, Judas Messias in TNA, very short-lived character. Yeah, total fan of those, and, oh man, Bray Wyatt. I mean, the fact that he could make it, like really make it in two separate stances and two separate what's the word? Avatars for the character was just wild to me. Okay, where it started now. This was his brother, obviously, Bo Dallas, in the event that people didn't know. I actually never got his take. I didn't see any videos concerning his reaction to his brother's loss. Amen. Look at that. And he actually, I'll be getting to this a little later, but he actually did predict the coming of the Fiend, which I only just learned today. God. I'm sorry, but there are some people that I really don't want to hear from regarding Bray Wyatt in this documentary. Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, John Cena, just, ugh. And there we go. In the event you don't know, and not to mar this documentary or Bray's memory, but the people that I just named all played politics when it came to Bray Wyatt. That's kind of another thing. It's like, it's not really a secret that WWE itself did him dirty. He certainly was, man. And he is someone that embodied that, you know, larger than life characteristic that is painfully missing nowadays. I wish more guys would take after him. Really? Wow, I didn't know he grew up in PA. I thought that was Kane Hodder for a second. Hmm. And that's when you know when you're dealing with somebody special, where they have to have like an entire team around them to bring his ideas to life. You know what I mean? Whether it's makeup, whether it's, like he said, costumes. Obviously, you know, someone's theme music can be and is very much part of their identity. It's part of their act. So that's another aspect. Oh man, Husky Harris. In the earliest stages of planning for what the Wyatt family would become, there was a very different outlook on who was supposed to be involved in the faction. For instance, Baron Corbin, as well as Judas Devlin, who later became AEW's Luchasaurus, if you could believe it. They were both originally pitched to be members. IRS. Ain't that always the way? That was the way it was with The Rock's mother, if I'm not mistaken. That's cool that they got The Undertaker to narrate this. Wow. I forgot about that. It's crazy, like the idea, thinking of, being a fan and seeing, being at one of these events to see your favorites that are larger than life, that are, the spectacle of the immortals. But damn, man, when one of them, I can only imagine when one of them is a member of your family and you grow up in the business and you actually get to be one of those wrestlers. You get to live a dream like that. That's got to be something else. You know what I mean? Gerber. I cannot believe that this guy. I had no idea that Bray Wyatt was younger than me. Ah, look at that. A horror fan at heart. That's great. Of course. Oh man, a Goosebumps fan. Look at that. True performer, I guess. Wow. They sparingly did work together, the two brothers in WWE. I didn't know he had a sister. Oh dear God. Terrible. Oh wow. Ah, that makes sense. Shout out to the Anvil. Oh God, yeah. Man, the characters that spawned out of that era. That's also cool, like when the children of wrestlers are not just in attendance in the audience, but when they're in the back and they get to like genuinely grow up in the business. Oh god. Ah, dear lord. That's funny. Yeah, exactly. Like little, like things like that. It just are what bring out the fan in people. I believe he went to the same school as his father, Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure they'll mention it during the watch. That's another thing that wrestling is missing. Like, whatever happened to people who actually played sports? You know what I mean? Oh Jesus, those pads are enormous. Yes, that's right. He actually did. Yeah. That's wild to think that he did any kind of actual wrestling. Look at that. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like having some kind of some level of sports experience, it toughens you up, and it some of the best who've ever done it in WWE or in wrestling in general, like legends, Bill Goldberg, The Rock, oh my god, I believe, oh god, who else? I know Bradshaw and Farouk did. Someone at the tip of my tongue, I can't remember. Scott Steiner played football, right? It's crazy to think that Bray Wyatt did amateur wrestling. I didn't know that. Mm. Oh damn. Yeah. Mm. Damn. Yeah. It's moments like that that are rough. It's crazy. It's crazy. Only now that he's that this guy has grown his facial hair out, does he look more like his more like Wyndham. I never felt like when Bo Dallas, like there when he's clean shaven, he doesn't look like Bray Wyatt at all. Absolutely. Wow. They're really. I'm wondering if they even before his passing, if they were already planning some kind of documentary, since they have so much footage that's previously unreleased. I remember when he debuted on NXT, I was just like, what are they gonna do with this guy? Haha. Let me look up real quickly what the age they probably mentioned it during the documentary. I just didn't hear. 5 years apart? No, they're about 3 4 years apart. Bo, I'm sorry, but did Bo Dallas like ever had anything resembling a physique? God Almighty. Yeah, Bray always struggled with his weight, but there's some kind of shape to him, even if it's round. God. Yeah, Bo Dallas kind of has something of a baby face, like a literal baby face. So it's always been kind of tough to take him seriously. There's like no ruggedness to him. Ugh, God. Now that he's gone Hollywood, he's certainly John Cena is certainly dressing the part of a politician. What the hell? God. I don't like to listen to John Cena in general, but like really on a Bray Wyatt documentary, it's like, dude, you're gonna speak about how much talent he has or whatever, but you did bury him more than once. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Oh God, I do not want to see this guy either. Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, yeah, it's a dead end name and a non character. Uh, uh. It's just it's nothing. It's a name that references his weight. It's not anything. No. Yeah, too often it's good. It's interesting hearing about this because I mean, when you actually let me think, because between the whole Husky Harris thing and the debut of the Wyatt family, oh, 3 years. No, it was 3 years because the Shield debut in 2012. Survivor Series 2012, so it would have been the Wyatt family that debuted in, I want to say on Raw. There would have been a 3 year difference because that whole stupid Nexus nonsense was going, that crap was going hard in autumn of, or no, excuse me, summer of 2010, but it would have been they would have debuted or I should say Bray Wyatt, Husky Harris would have debuted on Raw, I want to say October of 2010. So October of 2010, and then the Wyatt family would have debuted on Raw in June or July of 2013. Oh God. Triple H, he's another one. It's like, dude, stop jumping on everyone's bandwagon. So, like I was saying, it's interesting seeing how, like, it's taking its step back and seeing the progression between Husky Harris and Bray Wyatt. Ah, here we go. Yeah, this character was inspired by, if I'm not mistaken, Robert De Niro in Cape Fear. Yeah, the character, the character was a creepy but well-mannered, like, southern gentleman, but with violent tendencies. Um, and as you just saw, was originally inspired by Max Cady, the role that Robert De Niro played in Cape Fear. And before then, what you saw, additional inspiration was taken from the old school wrestling fan. What old school wrestling fans had seen before, when Dangerous Danny Spivey reinvented himself as Waylon Mercy. So it just so happens, I wonder if they'll show it, but it just so happens that Spivey was living in Florida during his retirement and stopped by the Performance Center to give Bray his blessing on the character. Gee, if only Triple H gave a good goddamn about promo work in pro wrestling. Good old Dusty. Yeah, give credit where it's due. Like Dusty, not Triple H, because like he of all people is gonna invent an interesting character. I mean, honestly, too often praise is just, it's given so liberally at times to people who can reinvent themselves. But I mean, look at everything that went into the Bray Wyatt character. Yeah, for real. Yeah, I highly doubt. Oh, oh, nice. I bet. I bet he would like once he sunk his teeth into it and like finally knew that he had a character and was enthusiastic about it. I have no idea. I have no doubt that he was just blurting out ideas to anyone who would listen to him. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing about him. It's not just that he's a cult leader, but the notion that he has that like southern gentleman type of drawl and would hail from the bayou. That just adds a little something to it. You know what I mean? Oh, there are. Yeah, the music was a big part of his act too. Like that's so that's so indelible to his character. Ha ha ha. Yeah, the fact that I mean, you on the one hand you would say it would make sense that a cult leader would have a family of his own, but that's still an integral part of it. I think Bray Wyatt would be intriguing alone, but the fact that again you're adding all these elements to it, and this is even before we're getting to the Fiend, but the inspiration from previous wrestlers, from movie villains, that he's a Southern gentleman, that the rocking chair, the the family aspect to it, the that bayou swampland kind of setting. It really all came together for a full fledged character. And I mean, there's so there to say that he stood alone in the sense that there really was nothing else like him at the time. He when he burst onto the scene in 2013, I mean, wow, it was. Again, I don't mean to rely on familiar aphorisms, but he really did take the WWE fan base by storm because for so damn long, especially with, the politicking that John Cena did, there just was such this dearth of characters for so damn long. They were wrestlers. It was first name, last name, Johnny Trunks and Boots, and then came the Shield, and then came the Wyatts. And the fact that these were 2 3-man groups, I mean, I hope that they dedicate a big chunk of this documentary to their rivalry with the Shield, because man, if anything truly put them on the map, it was that rivalry. And that happened within what the first 6 months of the Wyatts being on making their debut. Oh, dude, stop. I don't believe for a second that this guy was some kind of guiding force for that. Yeah, here we go. And his first rivalry was with Kane. Nah, you did, dude. You had lightning in the bottle. Or, hey, a firefly on a lantern. That would have been... I mean, you wouldn't get the full effect of it. But it would have been cool if he had, like, fireflies in the lantern. He should have tried that at least once. I mean, you're not going to get as much light as you need. But, I don't know, maybe at the top of the lantern you could have had a light bulb fixture, and then within the lantern itself, fireflies flying around. And keep in mind, like, this guy was not one of your, you know, in-ring work rate, technical, wrestling machines. So, I don't want to say that he had no skill in wrestling, but it was his character that was just so engrossing. Bray Wyatt was, you know, the promise of what new, fresh characters should be. Ugh. Oh, wow. So they go straight to Cena. God. We're over a half hour in, and they just, like... God. I can't believe they just glossed over the rivalry with the Shield, which was a much bigger deal than his feud with Cena. Shut up, dude. Oh, like a pinfall loss? Dude, shut up. Yeah. I'm curious as to what it is that they're going to say about this, since it was such a significant loss for... Actually, I believe it was his first loss. First Bray Wyatt loss was to John Cena. Because, man... If there's one person that loved defeating undefeated heels, it was John Cena. Bray Wyatt, Umaga, Rusev. It really should have been the Shield versus the Wyatts at WrestleMania. Oh, God. Shut up, Seth. Tighten up that man bun. Watch them not even mention the fact that John Cena beat him and killed his momentum. Look how over this guy was. Haha. That was kind of cool. Damn. The fact that he was such a big guy and could do that was freaky to say the least. The crab walk, I think it's called. Oh, they do show it. Uh-huh. Oh god, a meteoric rise that you killed dead. You didn't need that win. I'm sorry. It just, to this day, it still bothers me. John Cena did not need that win. And it would have been a bigger and a better match had the Shield fought the Wyatts. But they saved it for the and look, the pay-per-view before then, what is it, No Way Out or Elimination Chamber? That was a great match. That was an amazing match. I could go back and watch that today, and I recommend that you do the same. But, and look, it just should have happened at Mania. And you could have maintained the result. You could have absolutely had the Wyatts go over on the Shield. Yeah, man. That the reason for the lights was for, the spotlight to be on Bray with the lantern, and it was, but the fact that the fans got involved in that with the fireflies, that was just, that's when you know you're really onto something, when you really have something, you know. And again, keep in mind, this guy's the heel. Bray Wyatt's the bad guy. And look at that, an entire arena. And think about something. They're not shining the lights on themselves. Like, how often is it that, yes, oftentimes people are taking out their phones to record what's in front of them, but they're not recording themselves. Like, literally all eyes are on this guy. And I cannot emphasize this enough. He was not one of your technical work rate heroes. And it's interesting to see how many people came through NXT, and they're not half the character that Bray Wyatt was. And not for nothing, but like the structure of his face, like he does have like that, chubby guy baby face, like baby cheeks kind of thing. So it's kind of funny that he was the bad guy for so much of his career, when he looks like someone who should, because he does like, kind of have a baby face. Oh, that's awesome. Fan cosplaying as him. And the whole lantern, that's really cool. Oh, man, what a moment. That's cool, man. I mean, head to toe, this guy really was a full-fledged character. And one thing because I did a video, a live stream when he passed away, in memory of Bray Wyatt. I highly recommend you watch that, but after this. But man, he was such what I refer to as a mutable character. And what I mean by that, there were so many like different things you could play off with him. Like, he had that I believe it was at WrestleMania 31 against The Undertaker, where he's like touching or blessing almost the scarecrows that are lining his path towards the ring, and the scarecrows would come to life. He had I believe at WrestleMania 32, when he crossed paths with The Rock, he had like this smock that looked very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There were so many, he's one of those characters that there were so many things you could play off of him with. And Yeah. This should have been bigger than it was. It's weird, and only because of the streak. And look, by WrestleMania 31, the streak was over. It's strange because as much of a WrestleMania match as this should have been, you can't beat the Undertaker at Mania, so this really should have been a SummerSlam match. That way, Bray could have won. And, you know, the fact that Undertaker was absent during the build didn't help. And you had Bray Wyatt. You had Bray Wyatt coming out. Yeah, here we go, the Scarecrows. The fact that you had Bray Wyatt coming out in the daylight, that, you know, that didn't help for a lot of reasons. It didn't work because, you know, the whole Fireflies is... At that point, this is only his second match, but... This is only his second Mania match, but it should have been at night because, you know, he's a nightmare creature. Like, him coming out during the day, I guess it kind of worked because of the Scarecrows, but... the fact that the Fireflies and even Undertaker's entrance, it all just didn't work. This is another match I have to rewatch. I think that Bray was injured. I think that he had like rolled his ankle. I don't remember it being as good as it could have been. The build wasn't there. It didn't click, and it really should have. Really? Yeah, he was... I mean, this was another thing. None of the Wyatt family were like short men. They were all, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were all in excess of 6.5 feet. Actually, let me see how tall Bray Wyatt was. Yeah, but then you got this big hoss. He was 6'3". Oh, he was shorter than I thought. And how... Braun Strowman. How tall is this guy? 6'8". Yeah, he was... Braun Strowman was an interesting addition to the Wyatt family. And obviously from there, he spun off to have a pretty good ongoing rivalry with Roman Reigns. Why are you here, Becky Lynch? Yeah, that might be weird for you to find someone who isn't fake. As is often the case with those within the horror genre, despite the evil characters and stories that these creators portray, Bray Wyatt couldn't have been any different from behind the scenes. He was very much beloved by the locker room behind the scenes, and upon his passing, the testimonials and stories of his wrestling colleagues, that just it went to show how warmly he was embraced by his fellow performers. Which was 32. Oh, The Rock. Yeah, this is him with the smock. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. This I thought was really interesting it's and they are two very charismatic characters. I would have liked for them to have done something. I just don't know what. By the way, that smock that Bray is rocking, it looks almost like a portrait that's come to life. The title. Yeah, here we go. So the way that this had been set up, SummerSlam 2016, in the main event, Randy Orton had faced Brock Lesnar. According to wrestling lore, Randy Orton had only agreed to get bloodied up hard way by Brock if he won the title at Mania. So it was. I'm sorry to say that this is why Bray was scheduled to win the title, because he would have eventually lost it at Mania to Randy Orton as part of his Randy's agreement for facing Brock. This was just a really unfortunate. Like, what did he have the title for? A month? Ugh, devastating, man. If he's not gonna win the title at Mania, he should walk in and walk out the champion. And he had lost 3 straight WrestleManias by this point. He lost to Cena at 30. He loses to Taker at 31, and now he's on his way to losing to Orton at 33. Shame. I hate Triple H is such a he's such a tramp when it comes to attention. It's like he just has to pose for the picture. Dude, let it be someone else's moment. Like, my God. Oh God, here we go. Sure, Randy. That's why you beat him twice at Mania. This is what we're gonna do. This is the spin. I always liked the God. Nothing about the match, just hey, the loss. He hits the move, and the next is him raising the title. Wow. One thing I remember at the title match with Orton is the picture of the worms, like the maggots, overlaid on the ring. I thought that was kind of cool, but they did overdo it. But I thought like it was kind of cool, but they should have had Orton reacting to it. That would have added like an element to it. Yeah, no kidding. Exaggeratedly. That's an interesting word, John. I was worried about this, the spin job that they were gonna do. I was worried that they were gonna do their spin over how WWE itself dropped the ball with him. Oh, his emotional stuff, hard to work with behind the scenes. Oh, other people within the Wyatt family are progress. Oh God. Oh, really? He made those. Yeah. I mean, not for nothing, it's kind of a scumbag move that they're bringing in. And look, obviously the guy had personal issues, but don't bring that up. Don't bring that up for the sake of excusing how you added stress to this guy's life by dropping the ball hit with him creatively. The black sheep I always thought was an interesting twist. And it made total sense for Braun Strowman to adopt that. Like I'm telling you, he was such a perfect addition to the Wyatt family. Wow, she's beautiful. I'm glad they never tried to do anything with Bray Wyatt and his girlfriend on screen. That would have like messed up the character worse than WWE did. He needed that. Man, where, not for nothing, but where the hell is Braun Strowman? I haven't seen him on TV in months. Aw. Aw. Look at him. Look at that punim. I thought he only had, I thought he had two daughters. Look at that. Aw. Jesus. Oh, that's why I didn't know he had a son, because he had long hair. That's another thing about people who are typically like directors or characters. They're like family men. It's like if you look at the life of Wes Craven, you see how very much he was very attached to it, very much attached to his family. Because he wanted to get out of the house. 2019. Yeah. Ooh, here we go. Okay, they don't have to keep telling us that like they could have just put this advisory at the very beginning. They don't have to keep telling us like, "Hey, all this is never before seen." Yeah, we could tell. Absolutely, right? Nice. Telling you, man, nightmare characters is where it's at. There you go. Hey, man. Dude, it is like really take this into account. Really think about this. A puppet show. Like anybody else that would have been the death knell for your character, for your career. This guy got over with a evil Mr. Rogers? That is like nobody, like even Bray Wyatt, knowing his creativity, nobody would have thought that that would have gotten over, man. I wouldn't have thought that. Like, what? This is gonna be a main eventer. This is gonna be wait a minute. They're gonna put the belt on someone who plays with sock puppets, bro. But it was fire, man. It was over. And keep something in mind. Not only was the Firefly Funhouse something that people look forward to every Monday night, but the Funhouse was over even before the Fiend showed up. Even when look, yeah, I did pretty good on the weight loss. Even when Wyatt was released from WWE in 2021, he did take some steps into that world of cinema during his time off. Jason Baker, an FX artist, revealed that he and Bray were working on a horror movie project together. In fact, WWE um, WWE wanted to adapt the Firefly Funhouse, so easy for me to say, into a movie of their own. But Wyatt would only do it if he played the characters himself, which I could appreciate. Him wanting that creative control. And there was a design that was conceptualized for Huskus the pig. Unfortunately, the entire project it was doomed for developmental hell. But here's a look at the design of what Huskus the pig would have looked like in the movie. So I mean, hey, shout out to Scarborough TWTC on Twitter for posting it. Look how freaky that looks. And man, imagine what as they're showing the designs of each member of the puppets. But think about watching or seeing this design. Think about how creepy the other characters would look like if they were brought to life. And think about what the movie could have been if they did a Firefly Funhouse. I'm never going to be able to say that. So there's a look at you, at least one of the mock-ups of what the characters would have looked like had they adapted the movie. I think they went into just now what each of the characters, each of the sock puppets were. So Mercy the Buzzard was a prototype or a proto Wyatt character based on Waylon Mercy. Abby the Witch was an obvious reference to Sister Abigail. Rambling Rabbit was Bray Wyatt's response to the critique of Bray Wyatt that people had, where once his career was on the downturn, sociopath. Once his career was on the downturn, people were just talking about Bray Wyatt just had like these rambling promos. So that's an apt comparison. Mr. Rogers meets Tales from the Crypt. So anyway, yeah, Rambling Rabbit was a reference to the rambling promos that the Bray Wyatt character was making. And then Huskus the Pig is a callback. Huskus the Pig was a callback to his NXT Husky Harris and Bray Wyatt's obvious weight problem. Dude, I'm telling you, had you told me while Bray Wyatt was on the downturn in 2018, 2019, when he just had like nothing going on, had you told me that he was gonna be a host of a TV show, a kids show, a puppet show, I would have been like, oh god, what have they done? Oh, that was... Yes, that would have been 2019, because this would have been pre-pandemic. Yeah, bro. For real. And if anything, people couldn't get enough of it, considering how much boring how everybody else paled in comparison to Bray Wyatt. So interestingly, the Shield debuted 1 year before the Wyatts, and yet the Fiend appeared 1 year before the Tribal Chief. That's interesting. I previously hadn't made that connection. Yeah. Seriously, man. The mask, the eyes, the discordant music. True. Yeah. I can only imagine. I'd like to know how much merch the Fiend sold. Um, it doesn't look like they'll mention it, so I will. To bring the Fiend to life, Bray turned to the best man in the business to craft a mask to give a face to fear. None other than veteran makeup effects artist Tom Savini. So Corey Taylor from the band Slipknot had been contacted to let Bray license the song Unsainted for the Fiend's stalk to the ring. Ah, yes, the cinematic. Hey, shout out to WWE for attempting these two cinematic matches at WrestleMania. And oddly enough, with their two nightmare characters, with the Undertaker's last match, the Boneyard match, and with the Fiend's. This was the Fiend's first WrestleMania appearance. And that really the cinematic match really was something popular. It clicked, it worked. And you could tell, like, that had Bray Wyatt written all over it. God. With John Cena's, like, slick back news reporter hair, it really makes him look even phonier. It how can I put it? It brings to the surface how phony he's always been underneath. One thing that they didn't show, the mandible claw. Um, what was I saying? Yeah. One thing that they didn't mention, the Fiend using the mandible claw on Mick Foley. Now, normally I would roll my eyes at the prospect of one lower card wrestler, using another Legends. Kevin Owens stunner. But something about the Fiend of all characters using Mick Foley's mandible claw, it seemed very fitting, pun intended. There were always like lines you could draw between Bray Wyatt and Mick Foley. So the fact that it was the Fiend that would take on an aspect of Mick Foley, I thought that was kind of cool. Like, that just seemed appropriate. If I'm not mistaken, this was Bray Wyatt's first Mania win. Haha. This worked. This really worked, this partnership. Like, if you weren't gonna do Sister Abigail, I don't know, like, Alexa Bliss really fit into, like, the crazy sister. I'm sorry that they didn't what's the word? They didn't keep it going even after Bray's departure. But hats off to Alexa Bliss, because she really, for someone who played like a teenage, prom queen or whatever type character, she really weaved in perfectly to like a sidekick for Bray Wyatt. How crazy. Yeah, that hit him. That hit him really hard. And he was someone who was like, part of that adoration and closeness that he had with the locker room. He was obviously very close with members of the Wyatt family, but especially Luke Harper, and the fact that he left. He was in AEW. That must have been, hard enough for him, but then the passing. Yeah. How tragic that not too long after it was Bray that left us. What was it like? Well, no, I'm sorry. No, it was a while after, because if Luke Harper died in 2020, Bray Wyatt passed shy of 3 years after. Yeah, but not for nothing. All top guys do that though. I don't know what that means, John. No kidding. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but you guys didn't have any ideas, so you should have welcomed that. Yeah, this I'm not liking. Like they keep using like these spin jobs. Look, they dropped the ball on him more than once. Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying this. Like this is I was hoping that they weren't going to keep at this, but they're trying to use the fact that they dropped the ball with him. They're trying to mask that pun not intended. They're trying to mask the fact that they screwed up politically. They screwed up creatively with Bray Wyatt. So they want to say, oh man, emotional issues behind the scenes and difficult to work with. Like, come on, dude. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a makeup problem. Make it more comfortable for someone who has to work in that. He, yeah, that WrestleMania, his last. Yeah, here comes the Orton shadow looming once again over Bray Wyatt. But I don't know, maybe he felt symbolically that oh wow, that's creepy. The Bray Wyatt face lantern, the handle was his hair. That's creepy. He probably felt that, the burn makeup was, at least the burn of the mask was in a way setting his dreams on fire, setting his creative vision on fire. The whole the whole story didn't work. Like he had to suffer two straight losses to Randy Orton. Like what the hell? That made no type of sense. God, this, yeah. No kidding. there's a lot wrong with what Triple H is saying. First off, he wants to take credit for, or like having some kind of contribution to Bray Wyatt's genius. Like, oh yeah, we collaborated on figuring out his characters, and then you want to pretend like it's all nebulous and vague. When there are problems behind the scenes, or there are downturns with Bray Wyatt's Bray Wyatt's character or Bray Wyatt's direction. Like, dude, come on. Yeah, when he was released, that was just such a huge question mark. Yeah. That was such a bizarre release, especially a three-time WWE champion. Yeah. It was just weird. Like, of all the people to get rid of, I think at that time they held on to Dolph Ziggler, but they got rid of they got rid of Bray Wyatt. Like, what? It turns out that WWE, they used to have a special called Superstar Ghost Stories several years back. And wouldn't you know it, Bray Wyatt narrated the story from his days living with Sister Abigail. So, as the legend goes, while he and his brothers hunted rabbits, they took care to steer clear of a creature with bright yellow eyes, uh, yeah, pale as a pearl, he described them. So, Sister Abigail consoled baby Bray that this was what he had seen was the man in the woods. She then revealed that baby Bray had nothing to fear, for it was that he was the man in the woods. Sweet dreams. Yes, fans. Bray Wyatt had conceptualized the Fiend as far back as Halloween 2015. I didn't learn about that until today, which I thought was fascinating. That, and it's indicative of a creative mind. Like, you always got ideas that come to mind. Like, your mind is constantly racing, constantly like pumping, with concepts and directions to go to and experiments with your character. And the fact that he could have thought about this so far in advance, to me is really interesting. Haha. Yeah. Are they gonna now they're gonna go into his return? Really? I didn't hear about this. What the hell? Of course. That's cool. It seems opportune while they're both out of WWE to go on the hunt for that. God, like, it's crazy to me how the horror genre doesn't do more with Kane or Undertaker or Bray Wyatt. Like, it's so weird to me. I remember when I first posted about the passing of Bray Wyatt, somebody was like, Mia, what is this?" On Reddit of all places. They were like, Mia, what does this have to do with horror? I'm like, are you joke? Yo, you have a prominent character that plays a nightmare figure in pro wrestling who held their heavyweight title three times. Are you joking? They really were. I mean, look, I'm happy that he was able to return at the very least, like he was with the company at the time of his passing. Man, I really wish that, especially when you consider that he had time off, like time to think about his comeback. Like, and look, I'm absolutely never going to say that, oh my, it's just easy, just come up with a new character. It's because he already had two characters that he could play off of, Bray Wyatt and the Fiend. So on the one hand, like if you're making a comeback, you don't want to go to same old, especially since WWE had dropped the ball with two of them, with two of those ideas, which again wasn't his fault, but you I understand the desire, the temptation to come up with yet a third character, but as I said during my somewhat of a eulogy for my live stream giving my thoughts of his passing, I don't want to say that it was one comeback too many, but maybe it was one character too many. The whole Uncle Howdy. I don't know, man. It was just... I don't... Nobody knew what the hell he was getting at. And you can't say that it wasn't given time to breathe, because he came back at the end, either at the beginning of... At the beginning of September 2022 or the end of August 2022. So either at the end of August of that year or the beginning of September. All the way up until February of 2023. You had time, bro. You had segments and promos and pay-per-view matches. It didn't click and it didn't make sense. I don't know what it was that he was going for. And they eventually scrapped it too, because they, in the build-up to... Eventually in the build-up to his match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, they were already doing Firefly Funhouse segments. So it's like... Yeah, even they were like, yeah, we gotta get rid of this third incarnation. Oh God. This guy is the biggest diva in wrestling history. Yeah, because he was a draw. Interesting. I think this debuted at a pay-per-view. I missed all of these. I heard people talking about... this comeback. Oh, he came back in October. I heard people commenting on this comeback as opposed to actually seeing it myself. Guys, I was so swept up in this documentary. I forgot to mention for guys, or give the reminder for people to, if you're watching on YouTube, to vote in the totem poll. It's at the top of the chat just on YouTube. But no matter if you're watching this over Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, be sure to hit the like button. Yeah, the mask wasn't particularly interesting. It's just none of it worked. It didn't click. Nobody understood what it was. I doubt that if Bray was still with us, that he'd be able to describe what exactly this was, this character, Uncle Howdy. If anything, it seemed like a knockoff, not necessarily a knockoff Bray Wyatt, but certainly a knockoff. How can I put it? Just like Bray Wyatt light. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily a ripoff of any of his previous incarnations, but certainly a something like a portrayal, a gimmick that was how can I put it? In the vein of Bray Wyatt, just not as good as the cult leader, the Eater of Worlds. So yeah, just I don't know, man. None of it ever clicked. It never came together. How long was he gone for? He was released in summer of 2021 and he came back October 2022. So just shy of a year and a half. Yeah. That must have I wonder if that affected him emotionally too, the fact that this comeback, at least the character wasn't clicking. Oh god. This dweeb. I don't think I watched this pay-per-view either, so I think I heard about the comeback without actually having seen it. Oh my god. Who's that? Oh, the buzzard. Nice. Ah. Oh, I didn't even know the fiend showed up. Man, look, listen to that reaction, man. That's when you know that someone is like they're over, you know? It's not just a theme song. It's not just a theme song. It's not just an obligatory, oh, it's the good guy, let me clap hands. Like when someone they hit, you know, they are over. And interesting that they glossed over the fiend victory over Seth Rollins. Yeah, we can't have that, right? But oh, by all means, have Seth Rollins jacking his jaw about how much he respected the fiend. And it's crazy because I mean, yeah, nobody wanted to see him release, but he had only been gone a year. And it's interesting to juxtapose Bray Wyatt in all of his incarnations with Roman Reigns because it's like they were like perfectly diametrically opposed because one is over at his best. Roman Reigns was over as a heel, and Bray Wyatt was over as a baby face, even though he was supposed to be playing a heel. And when they were kind of like not clicking with audiences, it was for opposite reasons. Like Roman couldn't get over as a face, and Bray was struggling as a heel when he was initially a in the initial incarnation of the character. All right, we got about a little over a half hour left of the stream. I remember this promo like it he felt very it felt very heartfelt. It felt like it genuinely was him. Yeah. Shut up, dude. I wonder if they'll go like if they'll really go into this closing chapter of his career. And I mean, again, remember, there was the entirety of his appeal was his charisma, his character, and that's not to take away from any of his in-ring ability, but he's known much more for his creativity, his promos, his character, his storytelling. He's much more known for that, and look how over he was. I wish that people would understand that. People would take that into account, whether you're in AEW, ROH, WWE, wherever. Understand that it's about character. This guy got old. The reason Roman Reigns is talented in the ring, but he is a character. That's what brings everything together. That's what brings the tribal chief to life. Yeah. Yeah, but that's something that's something that has relevance to him. It doesn't make sense. You have to make it make sense to everybody else, and they didn't. And if it's his brother under the costume, okay, so what? Why is this supposed to be over? With all due respect, I mean, this might have personal relevance for Bray and Bo Dallas, but yeah, I mean, look, I take no joy in saying that this character this chapter was an L. And there were fans that were speaking how they that would be his third lease on life. Stupid. There were fans who spoke about how they wanted Bo Dallas to continue his brother's legacy by playing the Uncle Howdy character. And then they were like, "Oh, imagine the possibilities," and kind of left it at that. It's like, what possibilities? Like, you have to. The Uncle Howdy character was not well defined at all. So to continue it when it's vague, that's not gonna go anywhere. Hmm. That was. Oh man. Wow. Yeah. This was this was concerning when it was like, it's WrestleMania season, and yeah, he had COVID. Damn. Oh man. Wow. And again, how young he was. Hmm. Yeah, that's. I can imagine how frustrating that is. It was such a crazy time because the character wasn't clicking, but people were glad he was back. So it's like it was kind of a confusion over the response to Bray Wyatt, and then yeah, and then the health concerns came up. It was rumored that he had COVID. Yeah, it's rough going through something like that, and then looking back on where your mind was or what you were thinking about when somebody's going through that in silence. Oh wow. Hmm. It was such a long stretch of time that happened that occurred between when he was off TV in February, at the end of February of last year, and then his passing at the end of August. What was that? 5 months. Oh man, that's rough. Damn. Oh man. Damn. Yeah. This is rough. I didn't know about these details of his passing. Sadly. Sadly, I can attest to, like, there are so many passings in my family, especially recently. That is a really, I don't even know how to describe, like, that feeling of when you know someone has passed away. It's rough. There's such a finality to it. Yeah. That's also rough when you you have to be strong for other people. Like, you can't almost give yourself permission to feel what you very much want to. Yeah. That's that's this is something I hadn't considered. The fact that so much of his family, including his parents, they were still alive and kicking. Yeah, a kids having to grow up without a parents, and parents having to bury their firstborn. Man. Hmm. Man. You can really see just the positive effect that this man had on his family. Uh, the loss, the emptiness, the void that 36. Wow. the void left behind from his absence. And yeah, the fans knowing that his fellow wrestlers having to deal with that that pain, that man. It was such a strange feeling during that time, because like I said, Bray Wyatt, he had made his comeback, and obviously WrestleMania is such a big season, and it's unfortunate that he had to miss his the WrestleMania of his comeback, and then he was off TV for so many months, and obviously it's not always a fan's prerogative to receive the news of someone's absence, especially when it comes to their health. But we went like 5 months and just we weren't seeing him on TV, and then the news drops that he had passed away. I swear I did not know how old he was until I looked it up, and when I saw, I was shocked. It was crazy to me that this guy was actually younger than me, and it's still wild. It's still crazy to think of how, and they mentioned it before, how young he was, and his blood relatives, his in ring family, his fans. It was the loss was truly something heart wrenching. Yeah. I remember he passed away around the same, I think at the same week that oh my god, not Chainsaw Charlie. What the name of I can't think of his name. Terry Funk. He died. Bray Wyatt died, I believe, the same week as Terry Funk passing away. I'm trying, like, the closest, and obviously this isn't something that you generally want to compare, but I I don't think someone has I don't think someone's passing has affected WWE on the whole as much since the death of Eddie Guerrero. And Eddie was also one of those people that, like, he genuinely he knew how to make you hate him and love him. And he was good at either. He was insanely apt in that way, in that method of storytelling and characterization. Oh wow. Yeah. That's rough. My thoughts definitely go out to his family for that. Wow. Yeah. It's tough saying goodbye. Yeah. That's something really precious. That's also just wild for a brother to have to give the eulogy of his big brother. Oh man. Absolutely, brother. Oh man. Really? Oh man. Really? Wow. That's wild. But hey man, he was this is just the type of this is just the type of creativity that we're dealing with, man. This guy was just ideas nonstop. It looks like burned scale. Yeah. Haha. Oh wow. Oh man, this the world is true. The world in professional wrestling is truly less. Oh my god, it's truly lesser than for not having Bray Wyatt. Oh my god, could you imagine that? Man, look at that. Well, I said this would be a somber watch party, and it really look at that. It's an entire workshop dedicated to someone's memory. Just all their ideas just out on a platform for everyone to appreciate and admire. I could imagine the type of character that he would be amongst his family. If he was like that for professional wrestling fans and other wrestlers, I can only imagine. Wow. Beautiful family. I thought he only had two kids. This is wild to me. I thought he only had two kids and two daughters. Oh man, that's beautiful. That's something to look forward to. It would be nice to see how uh that yeah, exactly. What aspects of him pass on to his children. Nash looks like a boy. He finally got a haircut. Beautiful family though. Wow. Well, here's to here's to him being immortalized in the Hall of Fame next year. Absolutely. How could you deny that? Yeah. Absolutely an artist. Truly. And man, like you could tell like when he was in his element, he loved every moment of what it was like total investment. Just one of those figures that you could he just got lost in the character. Just like the best way that I could describe his performance would be that of Johnny Depp in as Captain Jack Sparrow. Just someone or Heath Ledger, you know what I mean? Someone that just gets lost in their role to the point of unrecognizability. Absolutely. man, that's something else that artists, creative people do as well. They do get into painting with just any method, any manner to get what's the genius that's in their head out into the world. Excellent way of ending the documentary with his theme song. I mean, that was such a crisp and what's the word I'm looking for? It was such an emblematic part of the Bray Wyatt character. It's unsettling without being over the top. I'm so glad that they got Taker to narrate this. Excellent. Absolute kudos for that. In loving memory of Wyndham Rotunda, 1987 to 2023. Mm-hmm. Just the way he would have wanted to go out. And now our watch has ended. So let me just close up with some trivia about things that I had learned in my research in preparation for this watch party. So it was interesting hearing Bray's Firefly Funhouse host role described as the wolf in shepherd's clothing. That's something that I had not previously considered. I really liked that the initial theme song for The Fiend, it wasn't even music, but it was more. I don't think that they played it during the watch or during the documentary. It was much more discordant noise than anything else. It sounded like that effect that they used in The Ring, that ringing sound, than it was music for The Fiend. Now they eventually remixed Bray Wyatt's theme into The Fiend's entrance music, which was also, I mean, it was pretty badass as well. The remix was performed by Code Orange. So one thing that I like to do is give recommendations whenever I do these watch parties.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula.
Make it a blockbuster, right?
So I just like to recommend other media, whether it's something in the same genre or something in the same genre, theme, something in line with what it is that you've already seen based on the watch party. So I do ask that you watch my thoughts on Wyndham Rotunda's passing that I did in remembrance of Bray Wyatt. I ask that you watch that because it's my thoughts, not just on his passing, but me doing a breakdown of his career. I very much enjoyed it. I'll probably give that a watch tomorrow just because in remembrance of Bray, and I'll watch that at work. Just because I very much liked retracing his career, what I thought about it, his rivalries, his WrestleMania matches, just his resurgence once he came back with the Firefly Funhouse, as well as The Fiend. I go in depth with it. It's about an hour and a half. I wanted to dedicate these closing moments of the watch party going over just ideas that came to mind when I thought about Bray. I meditated over this man, his contribution, not just to wrestling, but as a true icon within horror. Like it upset me when that person on Reddit And you might be saying, well, it's Reddit. Why would you pay it much mind? But it just shocked me how someone could be so dismissive of someone as creative as Bray Wyatt, like asking, yo, what does news about Bray Wyatt have to do with horror? Like, are you kidding me? It genuinely says something that you wouldn't normally associate with horror, the wrestling business, that you would have someone, and I keep using this phrase, you would have a nightmare character that absolutely fits the bill of a horror icon. And hey, shout out to who was it? They did the horror awards about a month ago. Someone took the time to make horror awards, and they gave a shout back in March or February, and they gave a shout out to Bray Wyatt. I thought that was awesome. They are a horror channel that typically deals with TV and movies, but the fact that they cared enough, that they were, considerate, insightful enough to give a shout out to Bray Wyatt once he passed. Oh yes, it was the Dead Meat Horror Awards of 2024. It was 4 weeks ago. Shout out to you guys for keeping Bray in mind, acknowledging his contributions. I very much greatly appreciated that. So just that acknowledgement, but it says something that somebody within a brand of entertainment that you wouldn't generally associate with horror, that being sports entertainment, that being professional wrestling, it says something that they were able to speak, carry themselves, have this ambiance like they were a horror character. And to me, that really meant something. I thought that was just like The Undertaker. It's weird to me that horror conventions don't have The Undertaker or Kane invited there. That's so bizarre to me. Man, I genuinely wish you don't ever want to be like, especially in professional wrestling, you don't want to be the next version of somebody else. Like, I know it's cliched to be the next iteration of somebody else, and it's also cliched to say, oh, I don't want to be the next them. I want to be the first me. But man, WWE really had something with Bray Wyatt, either incarnation. They really had something with him so that he could have been the next Undertaker. I really wish that I wish he didn't pass away, obviously, but I really wish that his own promotion understood what they had with him, his potential. My God, like, look at the legacy that he had and the indelible mark that he left. Imagine if they took this guy seriously and they propped him up as like one of their top stars. Look at what they've been able to do with Roman Reigns by like getting rid of the handcuffs with him and stop trying to suppress his natural inclinations and making him a bad guy. Imagine if they went all the way with Bray Wyatt. But two things that I wanted to mention. First off, I could not help myself. I absolutely had to fantasy book something that an angle that came to mind when it came to Bray Wyatt. Now, again, I have long said if you were going to do Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker, it had to be at a SummerSlam. If it couldn't be at a WrestleMania, because despite the fact that that's a huge platform, we know between Bray Wyatt and Undertaker, we know whose show that is. So it was kind of predictable who was going to win. So you would have to have that feud at SummerSlam. And the best thing even though, Taker was on a limited schedule and he was obviously winding down in his appearances, it would be best served for a Bray Wyatt Undertaker fantasy. Don't hot shot it. And what I mean by that is if it's going to be a rivalry, first off, you don't want to have a one and done. You want to stretch it out and have Taker lose to Bray Wyatt. It would probably have to have been in 2014, at SummerSlam in 2014. Have it where they have a string of matches that are spread out, and it's driving the Undertaker nuts because Bray Wyatt is, of all the people that Undertaker has beaten, of all the rivalries, especially the long-standing rivalry that he had with Shawn Michaels, he was never able to beat Shawn Michaels until their matches with the streak on the line at WrestleMania. But Bray Wyatt is just that character, is just that figure that Taker can't beat. So it's best if those matches are stretched out over months, if not like a year and a half. So I would have it where, now mind you, you would have Bray Wyatt beat The Undertaker probably 1 year prior to Survivor Series 2015. So why that's important is you would have, again, you're building this rivalry out. It's not, okay, it's started and concluded within 3 months. No. It would stretch out so that each time, yeah, Taker could, have his matches at WrestleMania with somebody else, get his win, but then return to his feud with Bray Wyatt for another chapter, another wrinkle to the story. So it just keeps happening that Bray Wyatt is just racking up one victory after another, not just with the main roster, not just with, some heavy hitters amongst, your Randy Ortons and your John Cenas. Yes, I would have Bray Wyatt beat them clean, but Bray Wyatt seems to always get the upper hand on The Undertaker. Well, what would happen if by the time, this Bray Wyatt is genuinely growing into a monster, not just a character, not just him romancing the fans and the fans falling under his spell, not just his Wyatt family with, followers in his cult, but just being able to always get the upper hand on Taker of all people. So you finally have it where not only is Wyatt just that guy that Taker can't beat, but he's defeating him at your SummerSlams. He's beating him within Hell in a Cell. It just so happens that finally Survivor Series 2015, not only is that the 25th anniversary of The Undertaker, but guys, imagine this. Bray Wyatt throws down the gauntlet. He's ready to put the dead man himself to rest. He is going to up the ante this time. No more singles matches. Now, it's the Wyatt family challenging the Brothers of Destruction. Now, you might say that, well, the Wyatt family are 3 members and the Brothers of Destruction are just 1. So who comes in for the save to round out a pitch perfect 3-on-3 match? You will now have at Survivor Series 2015, The Undertaker's 25th year anniversary at stake. Bray Wyatt dead set on burying the dead man. Who comes to their rescue? The Wyatt family will now go up against the Brothers of Destruction and Sting. Dude, imagine that that in and of itself can be your main event. That will be epic. Are you kidding me? You will have raised the stakes to the point that not only does every angle of that make sense. Survivor Series, 25 years in the business. It's The Undertaker, the new Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt. He has his cult in the Wyatt family. You not only have the Brothers of Destruction, but Sting in the mix. Sting is now coming to the rescue of The Undertaker. you not only have a rivalry between Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker, but the only person who could convince Sting to side with The Undertaker is now the newer iteration of The Undertaker. Yes, I'm going to give myself credit for that one. But, like, that came to mind last week, and I was like, man, that just makes too good of sense. But, you know, as much as Triple H during the watch party wanted to claim that, you know, the problems with creative were Bray Wyatt, not creative itself, and how bankrupt they are and have been, especially under his divine guidance. I just thought that, man, that level of creativity that I just mentioned, that I just laid out, that would be bank. That would be business right there. And guess what? From there, all right, you could have it where Sting and Taker have like their own orbiting or satellite rivalry, while Kane and Undertaker are dealing with the Wyatt family. And, you know, from the Survivor Series, and obviously, by that point, it would be okay. Again, you have to remember, it's not Bray Wyatt losing against Orton and title matches at Mania and losing clean against John Cena at the showcase of the Immortals. No, you will have built Bray Wyatt to an actual main event monster where he can now, or at least his family, his name can suffer a loss. And obviously it wouldn't be him getting pinned, it would be Taker, since it's Taker's night. But you can build up this monster to say, to the point that, okay, now he doesn't lose anything if a member of the Wyatt family takes a seat, takes a pinfall, takes a back seat. You know what I mean? It would just mean that much more. And from there, you could spin off to now having a rivalry between Sting and Taker. I mentioned this in my Remembering Bray Wyatt live stream, and I'll say it again because I think, hey, what can I say? I'm just filled with great ideas. Considering WWE's close affiliation with NBC, who owns Universal, who owns Universal Studios, who runs Halloween Horror Nights, I will repeat what I suggested several months ago. They absolutely should make a haunted house out of the Firefly Funhouse in memory of Wyndham Rotunda. I mean, come on. Universal already made that crappy movie out of Five Nights at Freddy's, and those are just life-size mechanical puppets. Like, come on. You cannot tell me that a Firefly Funhouse wouldn't make gangbuster business at a Halloween Horror Nights. And if you've been following along in this watch party of the Bray Wyatt documentary, you already know that he was a horror fan. I mean, things like this just write itself. Speaking of writing itself, one thing that came to mind about a month ago that I just wanted to share with you guys, this idea came to mind. Just look at that. Like I mentioned during the watch party that we always, I don't know, the best that we could approximate what the Fiend was kind of like an evil clown. And it just, you know, I often speak about not just my love for horror movies, but icons. And again, Bray Wyatt was absolutely a horror icon. And he debuted in the same year that the sequel to the It movie came out, It Chapter 2. And look, pale skin, look at the sketch or the drawing around the eyes. Certainly freakish teeth, but I don't know. It's just something that I wanted to share that I thought was of interest to me, and I hope all of you. And keep something in mind. After all, about both of these, couldn't you also say that they both are
The eater of worlds and of children. And you are next.
So, If you like this watch party, be sure to like and share the video with your friends. If you hated it, subscribe to the channel and make sure to share it with your enemies. So, now here is the point of the night where I talk about what is on the scene for the Mind's Eye. I will humbly ask that everyone join my Clips channel, which is Mind's Eye Incisions. It's just 2 to 5 minute versions of my long form content. I do ask that you subscribe to my Rumble as well as my Kick channel. Definitely trying to grow those. You will find me under Kick, under Mind Games Inc. So, tonight, you will be tickled pink to know that tonight is just night 1 of a week-long horror live streaming. Let's see. There we are. Ain't she a beauty? So tonight was just the Bray Wyatt documentary watch party. Tomorrow, I will be continuing my live stream of Alone in the Dark Scream Stream, Round 3. Wednesday is a real treat. I already told a subscriber of mine on YouTube that they had asked me if I was going to ever consider narrating the Alice Asylum game plot, and guess what? I actually will be doing that Wednesday. So that will come in the form of a live stream through Mind's Eye Radio. So all of April, every week, for the 5 weeks that we have, I will be doing a live stream narration of the plot for Alice Asylum, and that will be coming straight from the Design Bible. So if you don't have it already and you are planning on following along with me, I obviously invite you to do so. But I invite all of you to just Google Alice Asylum Design Bible. When I do the live stream, I will have the link to the Design Bible, the link in the description so that you could follow along with me. Absolutely make sure to download it, and I invite you to read along with me. So Thursday, oh God, I will be addressing the Resident Evil 5 IGN controversy. And I noticed that there is a movie on the horizon this Friday called Baghead that will be coming out on Shudder. So you guys get 2 watch parties this week. Ain't you lucky? Also, as I mentioned, I will post and make mention on one of my live streams this week when the Hotness TV magazine drops, the April edition. So I took the liberty of writing a Tale of Two Series, Godzilla. So the juxtaposition that I made, I compared and contrasted the recent movie that came out, -1, with the MonsterVerse version of Godzilla. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Now then, now that that's been taken care of, we have coming attractions. So, I have a couple of different different goodies for you guys. Obviously, tomorrow I will be returning to my Mind Games schedule. You can catch me doing, as I mentioned, the live stream of Alone in the Dark. That is every Tuesday, 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard. So, in addition to my week of horror live streams, I will be doing my takes on recent Disney and dark fantasy properties entering the public domain. I have a lot to say on it, none of it good. I will be doing a Alien Romulus teaser gut reaction now that that trailer has dropped. In addition to the my editorial in the Hotness TV magazine about Godzilla, comparing and contrasting the American and the Toho version of movies, I will also be doing a Tale of Two Series Godzilla Monsterverse versus -1 in video format. So that's pretty much what I have on in store on the pipeline. And let me think. I think that is about it. We will call it a wrap. God bless Bray Wyatt. God bless Wyndham Rotunda. My heart sincerely goes out to his family. I genuinely wish I could have met the man. It would have been something special to have been able to have shaken his hand. You know what I mean? He was absolutely on my list of people to do interviews with, someone to meet, someone to express my respect and admiration for his craft. And it truly, he was very, very Rowdy Piper in the ideas that would just flow through his head. And for someone like me, that's a true inspiration. On the one hand, we are not likely to see his like again. And sadly, I wish we could. I wish more people would see what it is that he brought to the table and work feverishly the way that he did to emulate that level of imagination, you know? But this was a good way of getting closure on his passing. And I hope all of you enjoyed my watch party. I hope you all enjoyed Bray Wyatt's legacy, the life that he lived, peeking behind the curtain to see what his family life was. The world is lesser for his absence. So, I've been Inkarnate of the Mind's Eye Theater. Mark your calendars and say your prayers. I offer a word of caution. Fear the worst, so long you recognize who's best.
If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.
Warn your friends.